Hello, this is Dr. R. Jayganesh, working as an associate professor in Department of Biotechnology, SRM Institute of Science and Technology. Today, I would like to discuss about another marine toxin, Ciguateratoxins. So, already in my previous videos, I discussed about tetrodotoxin and conotoxin. So, the third marine toxin is Ciguateratoxins. So, mainly this Ciguateratoxin toxin that is accumulated in the dinoflagellates. So, and also in the species Gambier discus and toxic. Gambier discus toxica. It's the main organism that will produce the ciguaterotoxins. Actually, ciguaterotoxin is a foodborne illness. It is caused by consuming reef fish contaminated with ciguatoxin. It's a type of again neurotoxin produced by the certain algae. Usually, it causes dehydration, weakness, palpitation, temperature sensitivity, and physical disturbance. So most commonly reported fish poisoning or seafood poisoning. So this Ciguateratoxin accumulated in the toxin produced by Cambier discus toxicus in large reef fish. Example: barracuda, grouper, snapper, and sea bass. Actually, this toxin accumulated in greater quantities in the flesh of bigger fishes and enter human organism after consumption of these fishes. So far annually around 20,000 to 50,000 cases are identified, particularly in USA, per year 1,600 cases are identified. In some countries, as high as 1,200 per 1 lakh people. The symptoms of ciguateratoxin are reversal of thermal sensation. So that is called dry eye sensation. Actually, when you see about the outbreaks that is associated with wholesale of imported fish, this toxin is most frequently in Caribbean, Indian Ocean, Maldives, Solomon Islands, Guam Islands, Fortuna Islands, William Islands, etc. This ciguateratoxin food poisoning reported for the first time in 1601 in Indian Oceans. So actually, this ciguateratoxin is produced by the dinoflagellates. It's a type of uh, so some fishes that will eat the dinoflagellates. So in that time, the toxin will transfer into the fishes. So when we are consuming that kind of fishes, the toxin will be transferred into human beings. Okay. So far, 420 different types of fishes are identified uh, that will transfer the conotoxin to ciguateratoxin to human beings. Okay, these fishes are called vector fishes. Okay, so mainly it comes under the genus herbivores and carnivores. So these are the root causes of ciguateratoxin. So the ciguateratoxin accumulated in the Cambia discus toxicus is a type of dinoflagellates. Some fishes eat the Cambia discus toxicus. So that is called herbivore fishes. Okay. So this here the toxin is transferred from Cambia discus to herbivore fish. Okay. So then these herbivore fishes are eaten by carnivore fishes. So here the toxin is transferred from herbivore fish to carnivore fish. So when we are consuming this carnivore fishes, the toxin will be transferred into human beings. So this is the root causes of ciguateratoxins. When you see about the properties, it's a toxin responsible for the ciguateratoxin. This poisoning is a group of heat stable, lipid soluble, and colorful colorless compounds. Actually, they are not destroyed by cooking and freezing. It's a type of another neurotoxin. They are lipid soluble polyether compound made up of 13 to 14 rings fused into rigid ladder-like structures. There are two different types. It is classified into two different types based on the location. One is PCTX1 and the next one is CTX1. So Pacific Ciguateratoxin is the most potent and it's actually slightly different from the Caribbean Ciguateratoxins. So here the LD50 level of Caribbean Ciguateratoxin 1 for Kenya big is 0.45 nanogram per kg. So this toxin is lipid soluble, accumulated and stored in the fish of flesh of fishes. So what about symptom? The initial symptom appear after uh, fourth and 12th hour of consuming. So after the consumption of fish with preserved taste qualities, three main clinical symptoms are gastrointestinal, neurological, and cardiocirculatory. The first symptom may be arise from abdominal pain, nausea, and vomiting. So cardiological symptoms are cardiac bradycardia, arrhythmias, and cardiac block appear. The intensity and the duration of symptoms are different in different individuals and the regions where the poisoning had taken place. In lethal cases were reported with frequency from 0.1% to 12%. So here the lethal exist is associated with the consumption of most toxic parts of the fish, liver, and other internal organs. Actually, in some cases of cigar poisoning have been identified in the newborn baby and breastfed baby because this lipid soluble ciguatera can pass through the placental barrier and mother's milk. Can you see about the mechanism? So it acts by binding to and modulating voltage gated sodium channels, causing them to open at resting membrane potential, leading to membrane depolarization, increased neuronal excitability, and various symptoms of ciguatera poisoning. So mainly it is characterized by their affinity binding to voltage sensitive sodium channels, causing them to open at normal cell resting membrane potential. Then it will increase the consequence of as a consequence of increased sodium ion permeability, the plasma membrane is unable to maintain the internal environment of cells. Mm. This result in alteration of bioenergetic mechanism, cell and mitochondrial swelling and blood formation on the cell surface. Mm. This is cardiological symptoms. In myocardium, when ciguatera affect the voltage gated sodium channels, causing sodium ions to move intracellularly. Normal cellular mechanism begin to export sodium and take up calcium. So it leads to increase the force of cardiac muscle contraction. So there will be a calcium in the intras. Here the calcium is the intracellular trigger for muscle contraction. Although much of the increased calcium is buffered by the sarcoplasmic reticulum, it is likely that locally increased calcium concentration increase the forces of cardiac muscle contraction. So this is about pharmacokinetics of ciguatera. So as told earlier, ciguatera is are fat soluble, so they are used to absorb from the gut. Is rapid and substantial, although as early onset of vomiting and diarrhea may exist in expelling some of the toxins before they are absorbed. So this is about the sources of ciguatera. So many families of reef fishes are involved in the Ciguatera globally. So they include herbivorous fishes like Acanthuridae and Corallivorous Scaridae, parrotfish, which are considered key vectors in the transfer of ciguatoxin to carnivorous fish. And carnivorous fishes cause ciguatera includes Muirantidae, Ledjantidae. Actually, these are the notorious in the Pacific region. And the families of Caribbean sea fishes are Epinephrilidae, Carangidae, Scambridae, then Spiranidae. Okay. So these are the families are particular problem in the Caribbean Sea. So these are the sources of Ciguateratoxin. This secreted from the this is transferred from the black grouper, blackfin snapper, Cubera snapper, horse hijack, greater amperjack, yellowfin grouper, dogfish snapper, barracuda fish, king mackerel. So these are the most important Ciguateratoxin sources. So from these fishes, the toxin is transferred into human beings. Thank you.